All right, what's going on, y'all? This is BoxingWave. This is gonna be my post fight for Miguel Cotto and Daniel Geale. I'm gonna try to be very unbiased in this video. You know, Cotto's my guy. Um, it's not a hard fight to predict. Okay, I didn't think Miguel Cotto would get the knockout. All right, I didn't think so. I thought Geale was gonna come in too big, and I thought Miguel Cotto was gonna just dominate him throughout the fight. All right. Um, Leading up to the fight, I didn't think Gil had any advantages outside of size. I didn't think Gil had any advantages over Miguel Cotto, and we seen it. If you watch the fight, leading up to that fourth round, Cotto was pretty much toying with him. I mean, he was outclassing him. Defensively, the way he was slipping punches, counter punching him, pot shotting him, and even when he was the more aggressive fighter as well. Um, it was just a mismatch, as far as skill and class. And I know Gil is one of those guys that was like at one point before he lost to Triple G, he was at one point maybe a top five, definitely a top 10 middleweight. Before he fought Triple G, he was Triple G's best opponent before he fought Triple G, at middleweight. And that just goes to show that the middleweight division right now is not a strong division. It really isn't. I believe that it's not. I think there's a bunch of guys in the middleweight division that are good, but they don't have any elite fighters. I think guys at 154 are better, obviously welterweight, and even uh, super middleweight. I think there are elite guys in those divisions, and if you take Triple G out of the equation, you have guys that are really good. You got Andy Lee, you got Peter Quillen, but I don't think these are elite fighters. You can never come close to placing them, any of them, in the pound for pound rankings. You know, and Daniel Gill is a good fighter, but he just doesn't belong in the ring with Miguel Cotto. And this is the problem, and it was very exciting, especially for me. You guys know I love Miguel Cotto is my favorite fighter. Um, I like him even more than Floyd Mayweather. But the problem here now is the catch weight. Gil didn't look good at the weigh-in. All right, he looked very weak at the weigh-in. I know he hydrated himself to 182, I believe, and it doesn't matter because now people are always going to question whether or not Miguel Cotto beat a healthy Daniel Gill. We gotta always question now. Now most people are gonna forget about it. They don't care. They seen the fight and that's it. The fight is that. The fight is the fight. But people are gonna question. Well, he lost to Austin Trout. He goes to Freddie Groach. He destroys Delvin Rodriguez, which no one cares because who is Delvin Rodriguez? Okay, he destroys him, which is cool. Then he fights Sergio Martinez. People are always going to question whether or not Sergio Martinez was healthy because of his knee. They're not going to really question the catch weight because I think the catch weight was only at 159, it was 1 pound. But the knee issue, people are going to say, Martinez's legs were gone. Even when he fought Martin Murray, he was already declining. And Miguel Cotto fought him a whole year after that. So people are going to always question that. And now a year later, he fights Daniel Gill and makes him come down to 157, which was ridiculous because Cotto would have beaten this guy any other day. But I can say that, but we don't know now. Why make him drain all that weight? Unless you're confident. And I really believe Cotto would have beaten him regardless. But now we're gonna always question whether or not Cotto beat a healthy Daniel Gill, which is very annoying. This is why I hate the catch weight issue. And we got Adrian Broner and Sean Porter coming up, and that's even worse because you got the catch weight thing going on, and then we know Sean Porter's already a big guy at the welterweight division. Okay, we already know that he's fought in as a middleweight, you know, and now he's coming down, and then there's a rehydration clause in there too, where Porter just can't come in above 155 or whatever that clause is. So this is the problem now with the catch weights. People won't respect it, but it doesn't matter because to Cotto, he's still getting paid. He's still getting the win. And most people are not going to really acknowledge the fact that he fought Daniel Gill at a catch weight. All right. But If he fought a healthy Daniel Geale, who do you think would have won the fight? What would have been the outcome of the fight? No one knows at this point, you know. Um, but it was clear to me, you know, and I would have gave you the what I'm pretty much saying is I would have gave you the same prediction video if uh Daniel Geale came in at 160. There was no catchweight because Daniel Geale is really not in Cotto's class, and believe it or not, he's not a big puncher at the weight. Okay, he's just not. And even though he's bigger, he just doesn't have a punch. Cotto has a punch. Look at his knockout percentage. Okay, people forget that Cotto is a puncher. He is. We sit here and say Canelo Alvarez is a puncher, but Miguel Cotto is a puncher, and he's a good boxer. He's a very good boxer. Um, you know, this defensively, watch the fight. You know, the way he's slipping this guy's punches, he's looking like Willie Pep in there against Daniel Geale. You know, because it's Daniel Geale. All right. Now, so what's next with Cotto? Obviously, we want the Triple G fight. We want the Canelo Alvarez fight. I want the Canelo Alvarez fight first because I've been wanting that fight for years. All right. And I just think that's a bigger fight. I think that's an even fight between those two. Quick thoughts on it. You know, I know you guys was asking me on Twitter last night. My quick thoughts on that. I mean, Cotto's the more skilled boxer without a doubt. I mean, Canelo's probably given the advantage of maybe it being a counter puncher. I think Cotto, as of right now, I think Cotto slightly might be faster. You know, I know he's definitely quicker on his feet. I mean, he moves extremely well, especially since you know, he's came back and returned and fought Delvin Rodriguez. He looked terrible in the Austin Trout fight. He looked terrible in there. You know, I don't want to take everything away from the win with Austin Trout because Austin Trout definitely outboxed him, you know, and definitely used his length. But Cotto looked terrible in that fight. He looked terrible, and he switched trainers after that fight, and you know, he's been quick. He looks very quick on his feet. He still looks strong. The left hook is back, you know, and um, you know, he's looking real slippery at the same time defensively. You know, he looks good, and the only thing is Cotto. I feel like Canelo can hurt Cotto more so than Cotto hurt him. I haven't seen Canelo badly hurt since he fought Cotto's brother. You know, Jose Miguel Cotto. You know, I haven't seen him hurt since then. All right. I think Cotto, if anyone could hurt him, Canelo, I think it will be Cotto. You know, we look at the line of who Canelo has fought recently. Um, I think Cotto can have a good shot at hurting him, especially with that left hook. But you know, who knows? You know, Canelo is another person, another guy. You know, he hit Cotto with a good shot. Cotto could possibly go down or get dazed. You know, we seen Cotto hurt, and we see how his face usually looks after a fight. And Canelo's one of those guys that can possibly do that. It's a great fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Um, who would I go for? You know, I don't know. You know, I'm leaning towards Cotto a little bit, but you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. Before the Delvin Rodriguez fight, before the Sergio Martinez fight, I was leaning a little bit more towards Canelo. So I'm being honest. These last recent fights has definitely influenced me. But look at the guys he's been fighting. You know, and nothing to take Sergio Martinez, nothing to take away from him. But we could always question whether or not he was healthy. So, and then the other two, it really doesn't matter. I mean, he fought Geale at a catch weight, you know, a huge catch weight. So, I don't know. No, we'll see. You know, Canelo definitely has been fighting a more impressive competition as of late. They both fought Austin Trout, and Canelo dominated him. You know. Uh, so anyway, no, you know what? Let me take that back. I'm sorry. Canelo did not dominate Austin Trout, but he did better against Austin Trout than Cotto did. He did not. That was a close fight. Okay, a lot of people felt Trout won that fight. But I think Canelo squeezed the edge of the fight with the knockdown. I don't think if there was a knockdown, I would have definitely not gave that fight to Canelo. All right, but Austin Trout did do much better than Cotto. So anyway, I you know that concludes my video. Uh, Triple G, as far as Triple G is concerned. I mean, hey, I said this on Twitter. Cotto can fight Daniel Gill, and I'm sorry, he can fight Canelo Alvarez, and he can fight Canelo and retire at this point. He doesn't really need to do anything. He's a 5 division champion. He really doesn't have nothing to prove to me. I would like him to see him fight other middleweights, but it really doesn't matter to me. It doesn't. He could fight those two and retire. As far as Floyd, I wouldn't be mad at the rematch. I think unlike Floyd's other 2 rematches, Floyd is not gonna totally outclass Cotto. I don't think he can. I think Cotto is always gonna give him a good fight, no matter how they fought 3 times. I don't think Floyd can absolutely dominate him. He won pretty comfortably in the first fight, but it was still a competitive fight. I think Cotto will always give him a good fight. So if they were to fight again, Cotto will at least do as good as he did in the first fight, if not better. Okay, if not better, because he's with Freddie Roach now. All right, and he can still clearly make 154, no problem. All right, he made the 154 weight limit at the weigh-in for the middleweight fight. So if Floyd says, come down to 154, I'll fight you, it'll be no problem for Miguel Cotto. All right. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I don't want to see a rematch though. I want to see the Canelo fight. All right, even the Triple G fight before Floyd. But if Floyd snatches Cotto for a rematch this fall, don't be surprised, because at this point, Mayweather's feeling like he can do whatever he wants. All right. So that concludes my video, man, and I'll check you on the next one.